and welcome to an e-demo on how to merge an existing Victor system with an existing Secure 9001 in order to form a unified system. Before we begin then, there's a couple of things I'd like to note. Firstly, the merge is one way only, and that is from Victor to Secure. And that means that the current Secure server machine will end up as your unified server machine. Also, before you begin, it's recommended you perform a manual backup of all your databases. And that means, should something go wrong during the merge, you always have that backup to fall back on and restore from should you need to. Okay then, the first step of the merge is to open up a web browser and navigate to americandynamics.net in order to download some scripts. You're going to need to have a login to do this, so if you don't, please register on the site and then sign in. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and choose support along the top on the blue bar here, and then software downloads, and video management systems, unification merge scripts, and you'll see there are 3 scripts on the right hand side. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Victor 4.5 and Secure 230 ones, and the download has begun. Once that download's complete, you need to copy that over to some removable media like a USB thumb drive, because you're going to need to move those files to both your Victor server machine and also your Secure one. Okay, so moving over to my Victor server machine then, the first thing I'm going to do is close out a Victor client. Then I need to go ahead and open up the server configuration app. So I'm going to right click, run as administrator, and I'm going to stop these 2 services at the top by clicking stop. And we can close out of this then. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to open up my thumb drive with the merge scripts on, and I need to navigate to the folder called Victor Server and copy that across. I can copy this to anywhere on the Victor server. I'm just going to go ahead and place it on the desktop just for convenience, and we can go ahead and open that folder then. Okay, so you can see in there's a batch file called backup databases from Victor server. I'm going to go ahead and double click that to launch it. And you can see it's opened up a command prompt window there. And the first thing it's asking me for is, what is my SQL instance called? If you have a different name from the default name, which is indicated here as localhost SQL Express, then you're going to need to enter that in. Otherwise, you can just press enter, and you can see the backup begins. And once it's complete, press enter to exit. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to go and grab those backups, and the script has backed them up to the default location. So I can just close out of this. I'm going to navigate to the default SQL backup location, which is on the C drive, and it's Program Files, Microsoft SQL Server, MSSQL11.SQL Express, MSSQL, backup, and you can see the 3 files in there. And you can see also that the file name is the database name followed by an underscore and 4 unification. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy them, and I'm going to put them onto some removable media, so back onto my thumb drive again, in a place where I know where they are. So I'm just going to make a little folder for them. And that's it then for the Victor server machine. So I'm just going to move over to my Secure server, which of course is the one that's going to become our unified server. And the first thing, as before, is to stop our running services. So right click on the server configuration application, run as administrator, and choose stop against those 2 Crossfire services at the top there. Okay, once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and pop in my thumb drive. And I'm going to go to my backups, and I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to place those back into that SQL default backup location. So again, onto the C drive, Program Files, Microsoft SQL Server, MSSQL11.SQL Express, MSSQL, and then backup. And just paste those in there then. And we need to go back over to our thumb drive and grab those merge scripts that we got from the web before. Only this time we're going to navigate to the Secure Server folder. And as before, I'm going to copy that to a location on the Secure Server. Again, it doesn't really matter where we place them. I'm just going to place them on the desktop for convenience. And we can go ahead and open that up then. Okay, so the first thing we need to run is the restore backups from Victor server batch file. So I'm going to double click that to open it up. And as before, we're getting a command prompt window. And as before, the first question is, what is our SQL instance called? Again, if it's not the default, go ahead and enter the instance name here and press enter. Mine is the default, so I'm just going to go ahead and press enter. And now we need to tell the utility, the directory where the backups are located. And they're the ones that we've just copied across. So the default is the default SQL backup directory, which is the one we have just placed our files in. If you didn't place them in there, enter the path here. Otherwise, just press enter. And there we go. The backups have been restored then. And I can just press enter to exit this utility. Now we're ready to unify, so we're going to go ahead and launch the unify batch file. And the first message is advising that the ACVS core database is going to be backed up before we begin our unification. The file name is going to be stamped pre-unification along with the current date and time. I'm just going to press enter to confirm that message. And the next prompt, again, is asking what our SQL instance is called. As always, if yours is different from the default, go ahead and enter it here. Mine is the default, so I'm just going to press enter. And now what it's asking is the location of a file called resignature.exe. What that file does is verifies the data integrity, and this file is laid down when Secure is installed. When you're installing Secure, if you installed it in the default directory, you can just go ahead and press enter here. If you didn't install it in the default directory, you'll need to find this file by doing a search on your system and entering the file path here. I do have the default installation, so I'm just going to press enter. And first of all then, the utility is performing the backup of the ACVS core. Once that's done, just press enter. And what that'll do is change the database owner's name to ensure that they're all aligned. Once that's done, again, press enter. And the next stage is to align the correlations. Once that's complete, again, press enter. And the merge is beginning along with the verification using the resignature executable file. Okay, so that's our databases all merged then. I'm just going to press enter to exit this utility. And now all we need to do is go ahead and install Victor Unified Client. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of this and I'm going to insert my installer disk. And I'm going to run the setup. Once the installer loads then, on this screen, the platform screen, I can just click next. And now I'm going to go ahead and choose Victor Unified Client and next. At this stage, if I wanted to choose to install any integrations during the install, I can do that. I'm just going to go ahead and choose next. And you can see here on the final review screen everything that we're going to install. just choose install, and you can see then that there's actually a prerequisite we need to install before we can begin. I'm going to check the checkbox to agree to its license and choose install. And once that's complete then, the Victor Unified Client install will begin. First thing to do as always is to choose a language. I'm going to keep English there and choose OK. And when the welcome screen loads up, I'm just going to choose next. I'm going to agree to the license and choose next. We can change the directory here that the Victor is going to be installed in. I'm going to keep the defaults there and just choose next. Okay, on this screen then, what we need to do is make sure that the Secure components are selected for install. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to see any of our Secure hardware within Victor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the X next to Secure Integration and choose this feature is to be installed on local hard drive, and then choose next. Now what we need to do is say where our Victor application server is. In this case it's on my local machine, so I'm going to keep that selection and choose next. If it wasn't, I could choose remote server and enter in the details there. And we can go ahead and choose install, and the install will begin. Once we get our install complete message, go ahead and choose finish. And then OK. And that's us then. We now have a fully unified Victor and Secure 9000 system.